He walked to the top of the hill and saw that the chest was locked with an iron padlock and that there was only one path behind the hill. He stared at the chest. He had no lock picks. So the man lifted his right leg, high and brought the heel of his foot down hard onto the chest, shattering the container upon contact, littering the hilltop with tiny pieces of steel that glinted in the sun. Among the pieces of steel there was a tiny, corked vial of glowing blue liquid. He knelt down and picked up the vial. He turned it over in his left hand, making the liquid slosh inside the glass. He popped the cork and downed the fluid in one gulp. A few seconds later, he fell to his knees, grunting in pain, and his eyes started to flash quickly between blue and orange. He fell back on the hill half awake. He watched the clouds float lazily by, and with the sun high in the sky, he closed his eyes and fell unconscious. He awoke later that night. The man stood up on shaky legs, steadying himself. He let out a yawn as he stretched his arms upward, and he looked on his wrist and saw a pair of steel bracers that had one blue gemstone placed inside each of them. He looked over his newest accessories, and with a shrug of his shoulders, he looked over at the pile of ash. That was once the creature. He walked toward the pile and spotted something shiny within the cinders. He brushed the ash away and spotted two orbs made of gold. He grabbed the gold and placed them into his right pants pocket, and he continued to walk along the riverbed. A few hours later, the night sky gradually became lighter as the man trudged slowly on. He looked around and noticed a small grove of trees that was in the middle of a field of grass, and to his left was a small dock that had a couple of small fishing boats that were turned upside down on the bank of the river. Further up from the docks was a tiny dirt path which led into a small forest. The man's nose started to twitch as he smelt the faint smell of baked bread coming from the forest, which caused the man's stomach to gurgle slightly. He looked down at the path that he had been traversing for a day, and his stomach growled louder.